You study for 5 hours the night before the big test. You sit down, flip open the exam paper, and nothing. Total terrifying static. This brain freeze happens when your study strategy fails to match the way your brain actually retrieves information under pressure. Most of us are taught to study by brute force. We sit at a desk and grind through 40 identical quadratic equations or stoichiometry problems in a single exhausting marathon session. Solving the same type of problem over and over creates a false sense of security. You feel confident at your desk, but your brain remains unequipped for the unpredictable, mixed-up format of a real exam. Scientists call this single-topic method blocked practice. Recognizing the pattern, your mind melts into autopilot. You stop evaluating why, simply plugging numbers into a template. To regain an active state, break the pattern using a technique called interleaving. Interleaving is the scientific method of deliberately mixing different subjects or different types of problems within a single study session. Real exams are randomized and chaotic. To survive them, you must engineer your practice sessions at home to be just as unpredictable. To see how interleaving actually works, we can look at the construction of a traditional Gujarati Thali. Standard studying is like sitting down at a wedding feast and consuming 20 identical bowls of plain dal. Your palate eventually stops tasting the salt or the spices. Your brain reacts the same way. It gets fatigued and stops processing data when it's fed the exact same type of academic problem for hours. A thali stays interesting because of the constant rotation. You take a bite of spicy shak, switch to sweet Shrikand, and then move to salty farsan. Every bite forces your senses to reevaluate what they are tasting. This variety keeps your neural pathways engaged. By switching the input, you prevent the mental numbness that usually sets in after 20 minutes of repetitive work. Applying this to your desk means moving away from massive chapters and into tasting portions. This diagram shows the rotation. Start with a defined set, 5 algebra equations, and stop. Instead of a 6th algebra problem, pivot immediately to 5 geometry problems. Finally, complete the block with 5 statistics problems. Only then do you start the rotation over. This structure mimics an actual exam paper, which forces you to jump between different chapters and concepts without warning. This trains your brain to quickly recognize which formula to apply to a problem, rather than just practicing how to use it once it's already been identified. Standard study methods only train your execution muscle. They build the mechanical ability to solve a problem once the textbook has already told you what the problem is. Interleaving trains your selection muscle. It builds the critical thinking required to diagnose a random question from scratch when you have no chapter heading to guide you. When you encounter a random question on a test, you want your brain to automatically sort through its mental files and select the exact formula needed for that specific scenario. True academic mastery comes from building these agile, real-time decision-making skills that can survive the intense pressure of a ticking clock. There is one specific rule you have to follow to make this work without causing a total mental overload. Don't mix subjects that have nothing to do with each other. Pouring chocolate syrup on a traditional rotli is a bad combination, and so is jumping between physics and history in the same 10-minute block. The golden rule of interleaving is to mix subjects that are related but distinct, like different chapters within the same math or science discipline. Keeping the subjects closely related is exactly what forces your brain to actively spot the subtle differences between similar concepts. By curating a strategic study thali, you can eliminate exam day freeze and walk into your next test with the confidence to handle whatever question comes next.